said, Marx believed that capitalism would eventually immiserate the workers, but it allows them to build a better life. And in that essay from that same year, 69, Marcuse says, well, what's happened is that the working class has grown into a middle class and has become stable. They've stabilized. They are now a conservative, even counter-revolutionary force. And so he feels betrayed at that point by the working class. And he says we need to look for the populations or the groups that have that, he says, the vital needs for a socialist revolution. And he says, where can we find them? In his own words, he turns to identity politics as the answer, but in his own words, he says, we'll turn to the ghetto population. And he points out the Black Power movement very explicitly. Of course, by this point, he's also mentoring Angela Davis, who was involved in the Black Power movement, went on to be one of the most prominent black feminists, and is still active in Marxist programs today. But he said we need to look to the ghetto populations, to the feminists, to the sexual minorities, and to the outsiders, to the unemployed. And then he said what we actually need to do is make sure that they get the right theory. They have the energy, they don't have the theory. And where do we get that? Is we get that into the students. So we'll create a student movement, just like we saw in Paris in 68, just like Mao used in China starting in 65, 66. We'll get a student movement going, and then basically those people are going to go and meet up with the various different populations, ghetto population as it were, racial minorities, sexual minorities, and so on, and tell them what their oppression really means in these new Marxist terms. And so I call this the birth of identity Marxism, and this is where we've had this major shift. But the problem was that these critical Marxists in the mid-20th century, the problem they saw was that capitalism works. In fact, Marcuse says so. He says capitalism, advanced capitalism, delivers the goods. That's his exact words. He says it gives people a better life, and to be sure, it is a good life, but it's not a utopia.